Welcome, everyone, to From the Ground Up. You are back again at this podcast. It's brought to you by Grit Daily, one of several podcasts that Grit Daily brings you. From the Ground Up, we talk to entrepreneurs all over the world about the companies that they are working on. And, hopefully there's some good advice in there for other entrepreneurs who are watching and listening about how they can run their businesses as well and how they can run their businesses better. Today, I'm joined by David Duguan of Voxify. How you doing, David?
What's going on, man? I'm doing good. John. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, we got you all the way from Austin, Texas, where the startup scene there is
Sure.
is alive and well. You
Mm-hmm.
are an entrepreneur who your company Voxify. You have a service slash product called Aurora. And tell us all about that, or tell us about that briefly, and then we'll go into your background because your background is very interesting. Welcome to the show.
Yeah. Thank you. So, Aurora by Voxify is a product. It's an AI assistant that understands and handles all customer inbound inquiries for service-based businesses. So, it answers phone calls, able to send text messages, schedule appointments, get estimate information, and so on and so forth. High level 3,000 foot view. That's what Aurora by Voxify is.
You're based in Austin. You have we'll get into that. That's a type of company that's really interesting these days. We want to hear how that works. But you're based in Austin. You have entrepreneurial roots growing up between the United States and Ghana in Africa. Tell me about your background. What was it like being an entrepreneur from Africa, or from the U.S. and Africa? What did that look like? Tell us about what that was like.
Yeah, so it never felt like I had like a specific bug. It just felt, I just thought that's how people just operate. So, like for example, it could go back all the way to like my youngest memory where I used to save like my lunch money and then either purchase something for like either like my parents or like a pair of shoes or so on and so forth. I used to do that all the time. And I actually did it again in like middle school where I saved up some money, bought like a pair of headphones, took that, flipped it, bought a pair of shoes. And what was funny was like, I didn't used to eat lunch. So whenever I got hungry, there was like a stack of milks that people didn't drink. So I just ended up just drinking that and eating. And yeah, it's pretty wild, but it was cool because I was able to save money and I was able to flip it and get some more other things, either get a new pair of shoes or majority of the time they were new. I just used to buy them from someone and then flip it, sell it, clean them up, and then sell it to someone else. So yeah,
Oh,
I've
really?
been doing that. Yeah, but it was very interesting. It's pretty cool. But a little bit about my background. Born and raised in Ghana, speak the languages, eat the food. I'm as Ghanaian as they come, and I was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic school too, and then I eventually went to military school. And I moved around from the U.S. I was in the East Coast, in the Mid Atlantic, and then also moved to the South, aka Dirty South or whatever you want to call it, in Austin, Texas. But yeah,
That's great. So wait, so when you were in middle school, you were already becoming like a budding entrepreneur and cleaning up shoes and selling shoes. And was that in Ghana or here in the U.S. or what? How was that? Like other kids, and also tell me, other
hmm
kids around you were not like like starting businesses at the age of 11 or whatever that is. Can you tell me more
yeah,
about that?
yeah. So I did it in both continents. So I did it in Africa when I was in Ghana, and the first thing I purchased after I serviced was a computer. It was an old Toshiba computer. It's like a brick that I bought. I wanted it so bad. So I did that. I was probably like either like 8 or 7 or somewhere fairly young. I was in like I think class 5. That's what they call it. Like the naming convention is different there. And then I did it here in middle school and grade 7 and 8, where I used to just save money again and then buy like I started with a pair of earbuds, like the wired earphones, take it, flip it, because those used to be hot at the time, and then got a couple of them, sold them enough, and then sometimes what I used to do too was that we used to take a trip to like an outlet mall in Indiana called Edinburgh, and I used to either buy things over there, take it, flip it, and then yeah, kind of go from there. So
How did the
yeah,
company
def-
do? Did you make a good amount of money with that? How did you have a good exit? No, I'm kidding.
I mean, it depends what you consider an exit. Technically, yes, I did pretty high profit margins in that case, and I did the same thing in like college too. Bounced around, did a few different gigs. Once upon a time, I modeled once, and again, because I get high profit margin, and all I had to do was just sit there and take pictures. So did that, and then yeah, took the money and yeah, flipped it.
How often did you go back and forth between the continents? And also, obviously you made it, getting all the way up through college, and you're 24 now at this point. Sort of give me your history as you got up to starting Voxify and Aurora and all that.
Yeah. So I don't go back as often as I like. Last time I was there was in 2022, and it was amazing. And so there's not a lot of too much of the back and forth between there. I wish I was there a lot more. Hopefully this year, December, I'll be there for Dirty December, as they call it. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and you eventually you ended up getting AWS certification. You were working with a company called VSN. Tell us about that and sort of what led you into eventually starting your own company.
Yeah. So it's a pretty wild story. I know we don't have too much time, so I'm gonna save you the fluff.
Oh man, tell me all
Essentially,
about it. Talk.
so I was moving. I was driving from Toronto, and I lived in Indianapolis at the time. And I was driving. I was trying to understand what I want to do next, and I had a couple of options. So I called one of my best friends on the road. I was in Michigan, and I remember I called him, and I was like just playing around, bouncing around ideas, brainstorming on what I should move next or what I should do. And the option was moving to Charlotte to work with VSN. Was buddy from mine in college that we met, had a good bond, and I was actually with him when he first created the website for the company. Now it's doing amazing, and I called him. I was like, "Hey, what do you think I should do?" He was like, "What are your options?" And we kind of narrowed it down to VSN, moving to Charlotte because it's a good opportunity. They just opened their office in Charlotte. He also had our CEO at the time was also moving in to help out. So it made total sense. So I went back home to Indiana, packed my stuff. Next day, I was driving to Charlotte. So it was about a 9 hour drive from Toronto to Indianapolis, and then a 10 hour, 8 to 10 hour drive from Indianapolis to Charlotte. And then I moved there, and then I've been there. I was there for 11 months. Great team. CEO is one of my best friends, and we worked together. We did a bunch of damage,
Mm,
and it came to a point where the company was scaling, and they wanted to move to Miami because that's where a lot of the business clientele was. So I was
mm.
pondering. I'm not really a Miami type of guy. I like to feel like the sense of community because again, that's how I was raised. I was raised in the sense of like I can go to the neighbor store and then literally just join them and eat dinner with no questions asked. And I didn't really get that sense from Miami, so I went on good old ChatGPT and I typed in the best places to move for a startup, and Austin was number 4 on the
Mm.
list, and it was the most affordable. Honestly speaking, just being candid, and I packed my stuff, and then I moved there in July. I packed my stuff and moved there to here in July. Drove almost 24 hours from Indiana to here, Austin, Texas. But yeah, and it's
Voxify.
been history. And I've never, yeah.
Yeah,
So I was
yeah.
saying, and I've never been, I never been to Austin or Texas before until the day that I moved in. So yeah.
Right on. Well, okay, so now you're in Austin and you've started your own startup called Voxify. Tell us all about what Voxify is. We set the stage and tell us what Aurora is, the product. You already explained a little bit, but let's go in a little deeper.
hmm Yeah. So our mission is to redefine how small business communication works and how they interact with their customers. Because they're super neglected, and they make up 99% of businesses in the United States. And almost 50% of our GDP also comes from small business. And then I think it's like 30% also comes from the middle markets, and then the 20% is from like the bigger companies and bigger corporations. Don't quote me on that. It's just a rough estimate, but yeah, that's that. And we the reason why we want to do it is because there's so many problems, and especially since they're powering our economy, they are our economy. They're also like very highly neglected, and then there's like their staff are super stressed. There's so much going on, and they're in this weird purgatory phase. And our mission is to just really redefine that and make sure that we're able to support them, especially the most important part, which is customer support. Because nobody want to buy from a company that has either no customer support or bad customer support. And yeah.
Yeah. So how did with your typical use case with a company that's having is working to communicate with customers better? So it's basically an AI voice platform. Um, how what's the use case? How does a
Mhm.
company use it? How does it improve the communication for them, make their lives easier?
Yeah. So it's pretty simple. All you do is you create an assistant, you have a phone number. We can either plug it in to your current line, or you can just have a completely different number that you put on your website, your Google Business, or whatever platform that you want for people to call. And when they call, there's an AI assistant that's trained on human interactions, and it answers all the different questions, books appointments for them. So, like, let's say, for example, if you're a plumber or your hairdresser, you don't have to, like, if you're underneath the sink or something, you don't have to literally leave underneath the sink, try to, and then answer the phone call. It just does that automatically for you without you having to worry and losing business. And yeah, that's how
Yeah.
this majority of how people use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the market opportunity and, like what's the market that you're trying to tap into here? And, also, where'd you come up with the idea? What was the inspiration?
Yeah, so the market is huge. We have a huge market. Again, 99% of business is our small business. And imagine yourself, if you was to, I don't know if you got into like in a situation where you need a tow truck or a plumber or whatever, you go online and you go on Google, you type in the business name or whatever, and then you literally scroll and anxiety. I call it anxiety scrolling, calling people, and then hoping that someone will answer the phone just for you to get either your car towed or get your sink fixed. So the market opportunity is huge, and it's a problem that I'm definitely excited about, and it's something that has been like has I've been on my personal search journey to find a problem where it's both super impactful and also helps out a bunch of businesses. So
Yeah.
yeah, and you asked another question. How did I come up with the idea?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's quite a funny story. It was actually when I was in Charlotte, and when I was living there, we had a problem where there's really no customer support, and there's a bunch of like leads that need to either be contacted or be engaged with, and we're going to go the typical route of going on either like LinkedIn or Indeed and finding someone in there, and then I was like, ChatGPT is a thing, and I'm sure I can connect a Twilio phone number or something to it. So I decided I Frankenstein the first model, and first try, of course, it didn't work. Second try, of course, it didn't work. Third try, of course, it didn't work. Probably like the fifth or sixth try, and I placed the outbound call. I was on the phone with my significant other, and then I saw a phone call pop up like, "Who's this?" And I was like, "Oh!" It dawned on me. This like what I created finally worked. So that's where the idea came from, and from there we have done a bunch of research, a bunch of talking to different individuals to find where we can have the biggest impact. Again, because a lot of businesses, a lot of people in our field, the telecom fields, they go for like the 0.1% or even less than that and try to get like the large corporations. But again, where it all goes back to impact for us. Like I have a story that I can tell um, about like impact and how super super important to me in my personal.
Yeah. Tell me about the feedback from customers. What has the ROI been for them that they've seen so far? And how easy is it for them to get started? Is it difficult, or is it something that boom, you get it up and running right away?
Yeah. So the ROI on it is pretty substantial. So on our previous pricing model, we had a 430% return on investment, and that was at a $1,500 installation cost, and then the 249 recurring. And now we just made again going back to the whole point of impact. We want to make it super super accessible for these businesses to use. So now it's $99. So you can imagine what the ROI on that is. And again, it's the crazy thing is all we do is just answer the phone. We don't do no outbound campaigns. it's crazy how much business is lost just by people not picking up the phone. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Well, talk to me about your vision for the next couple of years. Like, where do you see you guys branching off in terms of customers, or how does it look in the next couple of years, or even 5 years down the road? What do you sort of hope to accomplish as in the coming years?
Yeah, it's a good point. So the vision is focused on the problem that we're solving and is to really empower these businesses in however that we can. Right now, we're taking from the angle of customer support. Eventually, it'll expand out to like connect into like extra services like consultants and brokers and so on and so forth. And even maybe like PE firms who might want to purchase a company. But the ultimate goal down the line is to be a full telecom provider where you go on your phone and instead of seeing like AT&T or T-Mobile, you see Voxify on there. To again, fully capture the full end-to-end feel of telecommunication between businesses and their clients.
Yeah. All right, that's great. For me, one of the questions I like to ask people who come on the show is oftentimes a lot of them start out working for corporate or for another company where they're not the one in charge spearheading how it moves forward, and they come up with their own idea and they break off and do their own company. And there we are on the show talking about their company, um, like we are with you. And so, when you were working for a VSN, what made you want to like break away from not do someone else's company, and even though they were your friend and everything, but what made you want to create your own company, and what was that transition like? Was it pretty difficult? Was it tumultuous? I think that's something that scares a lot of entrepreneurs, is that how difficult that transition is. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, 100%. So it was based off of two main factors. First was impact again, and what is the most efficient way I can make an impact, and also knowing how much potential that I personally have and what my goals is. And it goes back to again, when I was like super young, around 7. We traveled to like this. It's a village in Accra, and not in Accra, in Ghana called Anyana is more of like the central part and is called Cape Coast. It's in central. It's called the central region. It's not in the central part of Ghana. It's more southern, but it's called central region. And when we traveled there, we used to go to my grandma's house, and she had a kiosk. So back home, and like probably other third world countries have these too. There's a kiosk that they sell like little condiments, like milk, nuts, and a whole bunch of random different things. And there was a kid that came and wanted to purchase like some milk, but he didn't have enough money, and but grandma still gave it to him for free. But when he came, he had like a tire with sticks, and like kids back home used to play around with it and act like they're cars. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So I decided I went off with him, and we played around. And when I got back, my mom got mad at me because my shirt was super dirty and it's like all dust and mud and all that different things. So it's about like a 3.5, 4 hour drive from Central Region to Accra, which is the capital. And I had a whole bunch of time to think. Mentioned I was raised Catholic, and so I was in the process of being confirmed. So I had a mentor, and I knew that to help him out, even though we wasn't like super wealthy, I was able to like understand the dichotomy between like either my life and his life, and I knew that money and capital was the problem. So I asked her, and then we went to a cafe back home, which is basically it's just a room or a building with a whole bunch of computers that you can access the internet on. And we Googled, and we came to two answers. And it was either be a cardiovascular surgeon or a soccer player. So I started playing soccer. I have a funny picture. I don't know if maybe you can insert it, but I'm gonna try to show it of me. Here, let me see if I can find it. Of me
And you can
playing
always send it
soccer.
later. We'll edit it onto the screen, or be yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
that we'll
there he
do.
is. Yeah, we can see
Yeah.
that. Oh, that was good. That was good.
Yep.
Looking good. Looking good.
Yeah, I was a slightly chubby kid. I was a chubby kid that also has ADHD and has a heart murmur. Those are like a combo that does not really do well with soccer, and especially I was stuck to be a defender, either defender or goalie. So extra boring. So I easily found out that that's not for me at all. So I decided to stop playing soccer, and then from then all the way up to college. First year in college, I wanted to be a doctor. I did all the stuff. They used to call me, my family used to call me Dr. Anderson. And I didn't fall in love with it because it didn't make sense going to school for 14 years. I definitely applaud the people that do. I have a bunch of friends and family that are doctors, and I give them so many props. So anyway, so I pivoted to nursing because I have African parents, and African parents usually have like three options what they want their kids to do: either be a
Mm.
doctor, lawyer, or engineer. So nursing was close enough. So I did nursing, but I easily fell out of love with it, and it was first day of clinicals. I see a catheter being put into a man. I'm like, oh, this is not for me. So I went to my advisor, told him that yeah, I don't think I could do this, and then we switched. So then I transferred colleges, and then did biotech, and then got an internship, got poached, worked at VSN. Anyway, come back to here. So say all that to say that
Cool.
say all that to say that its impact is for the longest time. I'm still going back to the 7-year-old me, the younger kid me that wants to go help out and provide back to the company. And it's like the book The Alchemist. It's like the kid that's trying to find his omens and his personal legends. I feel like I've hit the point where this is a good intersection of both combining both what I really like, which is the science and technology, and also humanity. So
Yeah.
it's a good intersection for that. Yeah. But yeah, and it's been great. It's been amazing, and hence why it made sense to go ahead and pivot to here because
Yeah.
VSN was an architecture visualization company focused on making renderings and art and all of that different things. And it was amazing. I worked there as CTO. It was great. We made a lot of good impact, but it wasn't the potential that I knew deep down.
Mm.
I like think something like if I was to be sitting on my bed, my deathbed, like how would I think that I'm being fulfilled in a way, and it just came down to no. So hence why the move. But yeah. Oh, also one quick thing. I think this is cool. It's like my personal favorite.
Yeah.
Is the logo. So our logo is a sankofa bird, which is from the Kan tribe in Ghana, and
Really?
it means that yeah. So it's a bird that has his head turned back to his tail, and it means you always go back to where you start to help out. And again, it carries the same exact ethos from when I was a kid, meeting the kid with a tire, all the way to now. It's always going back to do that. And also, funny enough, it's something that we see very deeply rooted for the people that we work with, like our customers, because deep down they do what they're doing because they either want to build a legacy, go back home, help out. Anyway, yeah, I've been rambling. Sorry, but yeah, there you go.
No, no,
I
it's
told
an
you. I warned
incredible
you, man. I warned you.
it's an incredible story, right? There's a lot. I mean, we got time for one more question, and I'll ask it. But it's an incredible story. You mentioned several different things. One was your grandma, who is obviously an entrepreneur. So you got the entrepreneurial genes from grandma, who had her own kiosk in the small village in Ghana. So I feel like that's the direct line right there. That's one comment that I have. And then also The Alchemist. So I was just on YouTube yesterday, and I guess this will probably have to be the last question or whatever, but I was just on YouTube yesterday watching an interview with Will Smith in one of the top YouTube channels by this guy who interviews billionaires and entrepreneurs, and he somehow got Will Smith, and he was talking about, and Will Smith mentioned the book The Alchemist. So briefly tell me about that book. Who wrote that book? Because it was interesting to me, but I didn't get a chance to check it out yet. So I want to hear from you. What's your book review on The Alchemist? Like, what is it about, and how has it helped inspire you in your entrepreneurship journey? And
It's a
yeah,
great book.
yeah,
No, 100%. It's a very good. It's a pretty good book. It's by Paul. I forgot his last name. I'm probably a star. It's Ochio. Something. I don't know. Don't quote me on
yeah.
that.
I'll
But it's
look
called
it
The
up.
Alchemist by Paul. Yeah. He's a Brazilian author. Pretty good book. In my review, it's good. It's more of so. I think business and people just run this business is that internally you got to work on like yourself first. You got to make sure that you're good before you can even start running a company. And I always fell in love with, you know, like learning and trying to X Y. I was always that curious kid, that annoying kid that X Y. That was my that was my personality, and it didn't help the fact that I read the Meditations by Rene Descartes, and then found
Mm,
out about Cartesian skepticism, and that was my personality for a good amount. Honestly, it still is, and it's like it's how I come up with like some of the things. So like I ask myself before I start doing anything, or there's a problem ahead of me, I ask myself why 5 times, and then I ask myself how 5 times, and usually I get to the problem, and then I'm able to like get different, innovative way to solve the problem, and so on and so forth. Because, yeah, yeah, that's my review on it. But honestly, I'm a big book nerd. I've always been, because when you play soccer and where you try to play soccer and you wasn't good at it, and all your friends play soccer, you're just stuck with books. So the book that I recommend for business owners that are trying to grow and scale their company is called Profit First,
mm.
by Michael McLowitz. I forgot, I don't know how to say his last name, but great book, highly recommend it. It goes back to the fundamentals, and it's crazy how, in myself included, entrepreneurs forget about the basics, where sometimes we get lost, that we think that profit comes from making more and more sales, but nah, profit comes from when you cut costs
Mm.
and don't spend as much as possible. And it's like the most basic thing, and is highly neglected. But yeah, that's it. But if you like books and other books, I give you a bunch of recommendations. I know we're at time, so
No, sounds good, David. Really enjoyed talking to you. So let's wrap it up. Tell us, about again, just briefly, Voxify and Aurora, and where people can find you and follow you and learn more.
yeah. So again, Voxify is an AI customer support platform where you're able to fully engage with the customers and streamline your communications, answer questions, get estimate information, book meetings, and so on and so forth. And you can find us at www.hellovoxify.com. Put your website in, and then in minutes you can get an assistant ready to test and tweak. And you can follow me personally on LinkedIn at David Duguan, and it's Duguan. People forget the second U. So David Duguan on LinkedIn. But that's it.
Great to have you on the show, David. Thanks for coming on from the ground up. Great having you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.